Okay, so it is August 4th, and already 4 days into this, I've already missed a day. I missed the third day of uploading. And it was really just an oversight. Yesterday, I was doing a lot of brain dumping in the morning, and then I got to my main task for the day later in the day, and I ended up going to Starbucks to kind of get into a different environment and stay there till really late, and then had to go to the store to pick up some stuff for Blythe's birthday party today, and just got home and started doing some stuff with Ashley for getting ready for the party, and totally forgot that I was going to upload a video. So I'm just going to make two today to make up for it. Or I could just skip yesterday, but instead I'll make this one because I really did do a lot of thinking yesterday. I did a really big brain dump onto Evernote and Trello, and I have a lot to think about. So I'm going to kind of think through a little bit of this out loud, try not to make it really, really long. Again, this is mostly just for my reference and for thinking out loud on video, to try to get some of these ideas worked out a little bit more. So I had this idea yesterday morning that the mind is a lot like a house. And I feel like I've had this idea before. Maybe I read this idea somewhere, but the problem is that the mind is so much harder to actually think of as kind of a physical space because it's inside your head. It's not a place that I can go in and look around and see how things are laid out. But things are stored in there and they're laid out in a specific way. And if they're not organized, it becomes a mess, just like a house that's not built well or a house that's not organized. And so I'm really trying to think about how can I structure the house inside of my head in a way that lets me easily organize my thoughts, my ideas, the things that I'm doing, and I know where to go in my brain to get those things, and I know where to go outside of my brain to get those things. I think that's one of the really big reasons that I've been thinking a lot about journaling lately, is because I want to make sure that I'm not trying to store too much inside my head all the time. I start to get anxious. I start to forget things. I let things slip. And what I need to do is have kind of places specifically for the different rooms inside the house of my mind. I need to have a place that exists outside my mind that I can kind of put those things into storage or clear that space in my mind for new ideas and new thoughts. So I'm really working through that. I don't have like a really solid blueprint of what my mind looks like yet, but I'm getting closer. And I've started to organize this by like topics, by the way that I think about certain things, by categories of thoughts and things. And it's interesting so far. And I'm also trying to categorize it by the way that, well, two things. One, the way that the things interact with each other, kind of like the floors of a house. You need to put foundational things on the bottom, and you wouldn't want to put things that are much heavier, or let's say you don't want to put things that are accessed very frequently in the attic, things like this. I'm trying to think about that kind of structure. But I'm also trying to think about the structure based on the way that I will be storing it externally. So am I going to put that in Evernote? Am I going to put that in Trello? Am I going to put that in a notebook? Am I going to put that in Google Photos? Am I going to put that here on YouTube? Where do these things go? And I want to try to have some sort of idea of like, if I were to look at one of these tools, I would be looking at that room in my mind. So again, very early concept of this idea that I've been thinking about, and hopefully eventually I'll have something that's mapped out a little bit better so that I can say, oh yeah, when I have that kind of thing, it goes in this room, and that room gets stored in this external tool. Hopefully that's going to be helpful. We'll see. So I'm just kind of reading through some of the stuff in my journal. I talked about videos being a good stream of consciousness journal, but hard to search through. I talked about I want to try shutting my computer down every day. I forgot to do that yesterday too, but like I said, I left in the middle of the day. I'm trying to just kind of clear all the stuff because I tend to leave tabs open and all kinds of things like that. And like whenever I come back to my computer, I've got my email right there. I've got Facebook right there. So like trying to clear all that and start fresh every day. I'm just going to see what happens. I've also noticed that like sometimes my mind just wanders a lot. I have a lot of things on my mind, a lot of new ideas, a lot of kind of meta processes happening. And whenever that happens, I need to make sure I'm taking advantage of it because not every day that happens, right? I don't always have these creative new ideas or solutions to problems or thoughts about how I could change things and do things differently. I do have this a lot, but I don't have it all the time. And whenever I do, I need to make sure that I'm not completely suppressing that and trying to avoid it just because it's happening and I need to focus and I need to allow that at least to some extent. And maybe on a daily basis, I allow it for a certain amount of time. But there are some days whenever it just really comes on strong and I need to let it go. I need to say, okay, I'm going to put off the stuff that I have to do today and I'm just going to sit here and journal. And maybe that's appropriate. We'll see kind of how that goes. That's something I've been thinking about. I've been having heel pain. I noted some stuff about that, did some research on plantar fasciitis and how I might be able to heal that. I need a new phone and a new computer. One thought is, I can justify getting a new phone in so many different ways, but is there something I can do that generates extra cash because of the phone itself? So like something inherent to the device that will allow me to make more money. I mean, it's not that really that money is the only reason I'm not buying a new phone. But that's one really interesting thought that I'd like to come back to and spend some more time on. Might be a really interesting article or video for other people too. I'm thinking about blah, blah, blah. This one's more about SEO and not necessarily something I need to talk about right now. One thing I've been thinking a lot about as far as the business goes is there are a lot of things that I've been trying to kind of package into services that I could easily just refer people out to, like citation building, performance optimization, migration to better hosting, blogging, a lot of things that I've been trying to either do for people or help people with. I could outsource, or I could not necessarily outsource internally, but I could say, here, just go to this person. They'll do it for $200 and it would be a much better value to them. It'll get done really fast. I won't have to deal with the technical details and the hiccups and the management of all that. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot to be said for that, and I need to explore that a little bit more. I listened to the Frank Kern podcast, Your Next Million, quite a bit yesterday. I listened to maybe 6 or 8 episodes. Some really interesting stuff there. One big takeaway I got from that is that I want to try to qualify clients a little bit better and maybe take them through a process to narrow out the people who are going to not get the value from my service, or I'm not going to be able to really get the results that they're looking for. So some interesting thoughts on that. So when I was in Starbucks, I was watching, I wasn't really watching. Okay. So I was eavesdropping. I always do this at Starbucks. It's kind of creepy, but I just like to observe like what other things are happening at Starbucks. And there was someone who was a missionary who was talking to someone about the things that they're going to be doing. And essentially, they were soliciting for donations to help fund them on their missionary career or whatever. I was thinking, wow, I've been part of this kind of thing before. I've supported some people who were part of Young Life or Campus Crusade, and I've been to a couple of meetings with people who have kind of told me about this thing that they're doing, and it's cool. I'm totally for it. It's interesting. It's just, I guess, from my current worldview, it's interesting to think about this as a business. I mean, these organizations and even these people are funding careers and salaries purely on the fact that other people are willing to give money to someone who's doing something good that they also want to be part of. Such an interesting thought. I've just really thinking about, I mean, it's not that different from like Twitch or Patreon or something like that, and anyone could do it, But I'm thinking about what is it that I could do that has some sort of cause or purpose attached to it that other people would be interested in getting behind. They would just give me money. They say, hey, we're just going to we believe in what you're doing. Just here, take our money and just go do it because it's a good thing to do. I don't think that has to be attached to religion. I think that people are willing to give money to support someone doing something important And if I can't say something important that I'm doing, no one would give me the money, but maybe that's what I need to do. I need to spend more time thinking about what can I do that is worth donating. I had to get into all the like legalities of the nonprofit and donations and tax deductions and all that. It doesn't even have to be like that. It could be literally Patreon, something like that. Anyway, something to think about for sure. My top ideas for that right this minute were potentially something about parenting or homeschooling. There's not a lot of dads who really get very involved in their kids' education. I mean, there's a lot, but there's not as many as moms who full time educate their kids. And then life extension, which is something I'm extremely interested in, and thinking about how to live longer, not only by living healthy or by living better, taking more advantage of the time that we do have, but also radical life extension through biological advancements and technology, and maybe even computer and consciousness transfer, things like that. Like, those are all things I'm very interested in researching, putting together information about. Maybe I could do SEO for someone who's already doing it. Who knows? There's a lot of possibilities, and that's a purpose that I could probably get behind, and maybe people would be interested in donating. Anyway, those are a few thoughts. I want to get back more into art and music. Some things that were really big in my childhood that are almost completely existent in my current adult life. In my new office, I might be able to put up my keyboard, or I thought about like some sort of rail system on the wall over here that kind of like let me put it up out of the way when I'm not using it, and maybe put a place to do some painting. I don't know. Just some thoughts. I'd like to try to maybe get that back in. Also, I saw a post and I thought about the fact that I need to be using LinkedIn. This kind of really tied in with that thought about like people donating and making connections in the industry, and especially like in the life extension space, and maybe even in the speaking space, in the YouTube space, influencers. I feel like maybe I should be spending a little bit more time on LinkedIn. My profile is so out of date. I need to at least get that updated. Maybe get my personal brand and purpose out there, and then start connecting with people. That's I've never paid for LinkedIn, but I think it'd be worth having their premium profile or whatever it is, and really spending some time on that. So summary thoughts. Plantar fasciitis can be treated with stretching and massaging. Find a way to use my phone to make more money. Look for bigger clients who can afford to pay $1,000 to $2,000 a month or more, and will make far more than that by having me on their team. Look for services I can outsource and get a great value. At a great value, but still be seen as the Yoda and not the hero. I'm sending them to another hero. Find a cause that I want to spend time on, if people are funding, and see if people are funding careers in that field with donations, and update my LinkedIn profile and start connecting with people. It's a lot of stuff, right? That's only part of it. Like you can kind of see in the background of this video, my 8.3 brain dump over here. It was just a ton of ideas. Things, blog post ideas, video ideas. There's even more on here. So just a lot of stuff was on my mind. So I wanted to kind of get that brain dump out into the video world, into my little vlog here. Maybe I'll come back and reference it one day. It should be interesting. So yeah, that was August the 3rd. Hopefully I will not forget to come back and make another one here for August 4th. And, hopefully that will be a little bit shorter and simpler. So see you next time.